Welcome to the Brokers Lounge with Eddie and Carlo. Disclaimer: the information contained in this podcast is general in nature and does not take into account your personal circumstances. Please head to the show notes if you want to book a free call to discuss your personal situation.
Welcome back to the Brokers Lounge, your trusted source for all things finance and home buying. And I'm Eddie here, and
I'm Carlo, and I guess today we're going to be walking you through the essential steps of buying a home. You know, it's a hot topic for a lot of people, and we're going to start right from the very beginning with regards to the preparation from a financial point of view, through to closing the deal and making an offer on a contract, etc., and right through to settlement day, which is obviously the most important and exciting time as well. So I guess before we launch into it though, Eddie, how's your week been? Anything exciting?
You know how it is. There's always something exciting going on, and just juggling 25 things at the same time. And with kids, like I've got two kids, as you know, 8 and 7, and there's a bit of sickness going around. So just trying to be on top of everything. But here we are, another week, and as good as we can be. What about yourself?
Yeah, well, made it through another week, which is always a good thing. And I'm probably a little bit different to yourself in the sense that my kids are a little bit older now, so I'm going through a different stage of life where you're dealing with younger sick kids and I'm dealing with older kids who are turning 21 or getting married. And so I've got 21st to work out, I've got an engagement party to fund, and I've got a wedding to fund over the next couple of years.
Happy times.
Oh yeah, so it's definitely going to be a challenge over the next couple of years. But we move on well and truly. I guess, Eddie, probably a good place to start is, from a financial point of view, what's the first step someone should actually take? And I'll probably, there's two parts to this. When they decide to buy a property, what should they be looking to do? And second part to my question is, why is it so important to have, a good credit score? Why is that so crucial when it comes to securing a home loan?
Yeah, I guess that's a great starting point if you're looking to start the journey of buying your first property, understanding where to start. And basically, I guess savings plays a huge role, because that's going to be the biggest factor that would allow you to buy that first property. Yeah. So saving as much as you can, making sure your credit report, as you mentioned, is working all right, there's no issues there, because that's going to be a huge factor as well in allowing you to get the finance that you need to buy the property. And then when you got those two going, and obviously you know what you're doing, you know that you're saving that much per week or per fortnight or per month, start the conversation with your broker, so you know what your borrowing capacity is, how much you can borrow. So that would allow you to know what the maximum you can go for in terms of purchase price, and it would tell you the areas you can look in, what type of property you can look for. And I guess that's a very solid starting point that would lead to the whole process going through to settling and buying your property.
Yeah, I think the whole credit score is an interesting one, because I don't know about yourself, Eddie, but has there been any examples where you've seen people become unstuck purely because of their credit score?
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess you've seen it as well so many times, how credit score force certain lenders on certain people, because there's an option for every person, or almost every person out there, regardless of how bad your credit score is. Like, obviously there's a limit, but if you've got a bad rating, then your options are very limited, and you have to go through like second tier or third tier lenders that obviously they're going to charge you a premium for that, and there's fees that might be involved in the process. So the better the rating is, the cleaner your credit report is. Obviously it's going to give you a lot more options and better
And what are
options.
typically the things that people, I guess, lose sight of when it comes to their credit score? Is it things like, not paying their credit card off, or is it?
Yeah. Well, I guess recently what we've seen a lot was the afterpays and the zip pays and
The one everyone forgets about.
yeah, 100%. It's like buy now and pay later. So they do the buy now, but they don't do the pay later.
Get the pay later, yeah.
It's like you forgot the important part. Yeah. So, and there's a lot of them. It's just, and yeah, it's like $2,000 here, $3,000 here, whatever.
All
People
that's up.
think, yeah, and they're all being reflected on your credit report these days, especially probably, I don't know, a couple of years ago, banks started adapting the comprehensive credit reporting, which means month by month your credit report is being updated and every debt you've got, every payment you make gets reflected straight away there. So these are very important, and it comes down to, if you can't afford to buy it, don't buy it. Like, just focus on saving as much as you can to buy that property, and then once you achieve that goal, work on doing what you need to do. But yeah, just spreading thin across multiple, repayments here and there, it will affect your borrowing, it will affect your savings, and it will delay you from getting into the market. So
Definitely good lessons to be learned there.
Oh yeah, and there's lessons like scenarios we see every day, and it just reflects on what allows certain people to get into the property market a lot sooner and benefit from owning a property, and some people it takes them years longer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's decisions, I guess.
Yeah.
Carlo, I guess after getting that deposit sorted, had a chat with my mortgage broker. I guess it's important getting a pre-approval,
Yes.
right? Because pre-approvals are important, as we know. So,
Yep.
do you want to tell us the importance of pre-approvals and how they help?
I guess
with the process?
there's several parts to it, and you're right, Eddie. Getting that pre-approval is super important nowadays, and we're in a competitive market, and as soon as you hit that type of competitive market, having that pre-approval in place will definitely set you apart. But I guess there's certain parts of a pre-approval that will help you out. One of them, I guess, one of the most important things is just understanding what your budget is.
Yep.
A lot of people come to us and say, I want to get a pre-approval, and we said, how much do you want to borrow? And they said, we don't know. We want to go for the maximum amount we possibly can. So it's a good way of going through that process and understanding exactly what does your budget look like, because you can work the numbers backwards and go, right, if you can borrow up to X, add your deposit onto that, which effectively means you can buy up to a certain purchase price. So
Yes.
Definitely helps out from that point of view. It strengthens your offer, and I think that's one of the key things that a lot of people love about pre-approvals. They can confidently go to the market or go to an open inspection knowing that, if I purchase this property, I'm going to be okay from a finance point of view. I know quite a few people, they'll go to a real estate agent and they'll look at it, and one of the first questions they'll get asked is, have you got your finances
100%.
sorted out? So, to be able to confidently sit there and go, yes, got it all sorted, I've got a pre-approval in place, we're going to be right to go. The other thing is, which a lot of people probably don't think about, and we've seen it a lot in the past, is it identifies potential issues.
Yes.
We've seen people who go to do a pre-approval, we go through the whole process and something comes up from left field that they weren't even aware of. So, they could be that they've forgotten about a certain debt. We talk about the credit score and all that. But it's good that you identify those issues early on in the piece, rather than sign a contract on a property and then find out.
Run around.
Exactly
Honestly,
right.
yeah.
So one of the other things is it speeds up the purchase process. So if you've got everything, all your ducks lined up at the beginning and getting that pre-approval, the minute you sign that contract, everything flows a lot more smoother, a lot more quicker. So if you need to move quicker on a settlement time frame, so instead of pushing it out 60 or 90 days, you may be able to turn around and say, well, I'm going to make my offer 30-day settlement because I've already got my pre-approval in place. So super important. So that really highlights your negotiating power is spot on there.
Yeah,
so.
100%. Even like if you were selling your own property and you've got two offers, with one being ready to go, finance approved, there's not going to be any issues, you can settle in 30 days and have your money.
Yeah.
Or take the other option, which might be slightly higher, but you don't know if they've got finance sorted. So sometimes it will put you.
Yeah, I know.
ahead.
If I was a seller and I'd be selling a property and I've got two offers in front of me, and one is, has already got a pre-approval in place, so it's not subject to finance.
Yeah.
Unless the other offer is super,
100%.
A lot more monetary value involved there, then I'd definitely go with the one that's got the pre-approval in place, so not subject to any finance. So it's really all about avoiding any surprises. So negotiating power, avoiding surprises, they're the big pluses for me in terms of why you'd go and get a pre-approval.
100%. Like the process is a bit involved. There's a lot of moving parts from A to Z, from starting to think about buying the property to actually buying and settling on it. So what we try and do, I guess, is just make it as seamless and as smooth as possible, so it doesn't become that overwhelming experience and daunting experience which some people experience. And it's not great.
I think that comment about overwhelming experience, that's one of the things that a lot of people do get a little bit concerned about, and I think it's probably a good opportunity to talk through the types of documents we typically get from a client in order to get a pre-approval put in place. So, are they going to be providing just a small amount of information now and more down the track, or vice versa? Just, what's typically involved?
Yeah, look, a pre-approval, basically, it's getting an unofficial approval from the bank subject to certain conditions that need to be met once the property is located. So to be able to do that, obviously, we're going to have to go through the whole lot of gathering personal information from customers, understanding their living arrangement, getting bank statements to show their income is coming through. If they're PYG, if they're self-employed, we need to get those tax returns just to confirm the income and work out what their borrowing capacity is. Also, obviously, we need to get savings to show they've got the funds they're going to be, using towards the purchase. So getting all these little bits and pieces gathered, running the numbers, understanding what level of borrowing they can achieve, and also something very important, I guess, with first-time buyers, working out if they're eligible for any of the grants on offer by the government. That's something a lot of people forget about or are not aware of. So working all these options, and then obviously giving options for people to pick from. We usually narrow it down to 3-4 lenders and run based on rates, offering the holistic approach, and then we'll leave it with people to choose if they've got a certain lender or a favourite lender that they prefer dealing with. Once that is achieved, obviously, we put the application through, get the pre-approval. And there's something very important here. There's certain lenders that do like a system-generated approval, which is basically meaning not an actual human assessor took your file, went through it, and gave us an approval. So if we think there might be issues with your approval, or if there's certain things that might be tricky, we think, when the actual assessor picks your file up, we usually recommend lenders that will do an actual full pre-approval, and that would, like we said earlier, eliminate any future hiccups that might come up after you find the property and getting, that full approval within the finance clause period. So it's
there are some lenders out there, correct me if I'm wrong, that will claim that they can get a pre-approval done within a couple of hours, and then you think that's fantastic, and then you find out down the track it's just a system-generated one, and they reserve the right to not go through with that pre-approval if they choose to, if they 100%. Find something that doesn't quite fit within the square that they're looking at. So
yes, and that's the biggest factor in getting a pre-approval. It's knowing 99% I'm not going to have any issues if I stick to the purchase price we discussed, borrowing amount we were approved on, as long as the property, like usually conditions in the pre-approval are subject to suitable property, valuation, none of your financial circumstances change. So if these, which 99.9% of the time are met, then you're not going to have any issues in getting approval.
So realistically, a pre-approval is really like going through a normal application process, like you've already bought the property.
It is.
It's just really getting an approval in place.
Haven't found the property.
Haven't found the property.
That's
correct.
it. 100%. 100%. Yeah. And then once you get that approval and now the exciting time. You've got, so with a pre-approval, it's 3 months usually, and then can be renewed for another 3 months. So you've got 6 months. What do we do now?
Which hopefully should be sufficient time. So is there anything that buyers should be really focusing on when they start their house hunting journey as such?
Well, look, in terms of finding the suitable property, or what do you mean?
Just the steps that are involved really in terms to find an actual property. Should they be engaging certain people?
Yeah.
At which point should they be engaging? Likes of a conveyancer or a buyer's agent, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Look, I guess it depends based on people and their level of experience in the market, or if they know the market, or some people they just want to buy in this area for whatever reasons. Some people they want to work around their budget. So understanding what people want, I guess, and that would direct them in the way they want to. So, but just for education purposes here, obviously understanding what your borrowing capacity is and what your maximum purchase price is, that narrows down the suburb. It narrows down the type of property. Are you going to buy a fully detached house? Are you going to buy an apartment, a townhouse? What does your budget allows? And then from there, obviously, you have to choose, like you either go to auction or you go to private sale or off the market, which is usually a bit harder if you haven't got a buyer's agent engaged in it. So if you're going through an auction, then it's very important understanding what's your maximum, because a lot of people get carried away in the auction. Like you're competing, the other guy's looking you in the eye, and it's just like,
you've got your partner nudging you every 3 seconds and going, put in another offer.
And it becomes personal. It becomes personal. It's just like, I don't care about that approval. I'm just going to go 100K over the limit.
Times.
And then give you a call. We bought, but just went a bit over the limit. And then, so just, remember what your maximum limit is, because if you go over it, then it can be an issue. You might not be able to get finance if we already maxed out. And in the auction, like, it's unconditional. If you're successful in an auction, that's it. The property's yours, so the contract's signed, and it's so hard to get out of it without paying penalties or losing a deposit or something within that sort. So,
and we're not talking like a small asset here. We're talking probably the biggest asset that most people purchase in their lives. So
house.
got to make it super tight. So
100%. So that is the auction part. Also, we're seeing a lot of people using buyer's agent these days to negotiate on their behalf, find them the property based on the budget. And I think that is very important if you've got the right people, because it takes out the emotions out of it in one way. And the buyer's agent will be working, for your benefit, finding you the property, doing the negotiations. Because sometimes you go to see property, you fall in love with it, and you're like, I need to get that property, but it might not be the best property out there,
Big power lines over the top.
Whatever it is, you've got a cemetery in the backyard or whatever. So I guess, engaging a buyer's agent sometimes can be helpful, but obviously they come with a price, which not everyone, can pay for it. So it's these things that you need to be aware of. It helps you in which way to go, directs you in the right way, and helps you find the property that you need. And always remember, if you're not successful on this property, it's not the last one. There's always going to be the next one.
Correct.
100%. So I think that is a huge part. That is the main part, because you're doing everything to buy the property. And it has to be the right one, because after you move into the property, I guess you moved a few times, I moved a few times, you see the property when you inspect it first time or second time, you're seeing it for 10 minutes.
With rose-coloured glasses.
100%, and everything's clean and tidy. And But then after you move into the property, you start, there's a crack here, there's this there, there's this, that. So
termites up there.
100%. So always do your due diligence properly. we always say it, like if you're buying a car which is $15,000-$20,000, you bring your mechanic to check it and make sure there's
drive,
100%. So if you're spending $700,000 on a property, you want to make sure it's the right property and you're not going to have big issues after you move in. So I guess that takes us to what comes after finding the property. Yeah, I've found the property, we're successful, happy days.
Yeah, now comes the tough part of it all, and it's all about getting that offer put into the vendors as such. And obviously with auctions it's a little bit differently because you're there on the day, you know what the final price is going to be because you're obviously bidding for it, and you know it needs to be an unconditional offer. So there's not a lot you can typically build into an auction process as such. But I guess if we look at private sales and off-market transactions, there's lots of different components that you need to be aware of to make your offer the most strongest out there. If you start off with, before you even make your offer, what do you look at? Things like, comparable sales in the area. That's probably one of the things that most people look at.
That's
how does this house compare to the next house that's 100%. Very similar? So you can pretty much start to formulate what that number starts to look like. Yeah, and I guess it's a great opportunity then when you formulate your offer to build in any conditions that you think is important to yourself. And I think that the one that most of us would recommend to our clients is that building and pest inspection report.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one that really highlights any potential underlying issues with the property, stuff that's not even visible to the naked eye.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of things where I'd look at it and go, yeah, it looks really great. And then you get a builder to come along and go, you do realise those walls don't line up together, and all of a sudden you've got big cracks here, and so the foundations must be shifting. So good opportunity there to build in a pest and inspection report as part of your conditions. They typically will give you like a week to do that anyway, so
yes.
It's a great opportunity. Obviously the finance approval, if you don't have a pre-approval in place, or you're a little bit nervous about making it unconditional, throw in a subject to finance clause in there. Most people will allow 2 to 3 weeks to get your finance formally approved. So great opportunity to do that as well.
I guess it's not bad to have it, even if you've got the pre-approval. So until you get the full approval, it's just like a safety net in case anything goes wrong.
Yeah.
There's something to get you out of that contract.
Yeah, and I think one of the traps that I've seen in the past is where people have put their finance approval up to a certain amount, and they don't actually specify which lender it is.
Okay.
Which I've seen people get caught out in the past because I've seen a vendor who will say, well, you couldn't get finance through your particular bank, so why don't you go somewhere else and get it? And all of a sudden they've held them to that contract. So it's probably extreme, don't get me wrong, but definitely worthwhile considering. And the other thing is, other condition to build in is, what does the settlement date look like?
Yep.
Perfect opportunity if you want to use it to your advantage and say, well, I've got my pre-approval in place. It's still a 30-day settlement. We can settle really quickly. We've got everything ready to go. The vendors might not want a quick settlement. They may want a longer one because they've got to sell. They may be purchasing something else as well. So all things that get built into submitting that actual offer itself. And then there's the negotiation side of things. So there's probably 3 outcomes that you can get. The vendors accept your offer. Fantastic, tick. They may come back with a counter offer and they say, well, no, we don't quite like the amount that you're offering. Can we up it a little bit? Which typically happens because that's what real estate agents love doing. Or it might be they don't like your actual terms as such. So there's always room for a bit of counter offering there. And the other, the other response is rejection.
Yes.
So they flat out say, nah, don't like your offer. Sorry, not going. Or we're going to go with somebody else's. So they're all good ways of, all parts of that negotiation process that, don't be too afraid of it.
Yep.
Link in with the right professionals to help you through all that. But once you get to the point where you have come to a mutual agreement in terms of what does the amount look like, what do the conditions look like, then it's obviously time to sign that contract. There's typically a cooling off period. Most states allow that 3 to 5 days, so that in case something comes up and you have a big change of heart, you got an opportunity to get out of there as well. Good opportunity as well to go. That's when you get all your conditions completed as well.
Yes.
So I guess if I had any tips for people when they're going through this whole process of putting together an offer, one is obviously be prepared, know what your budget is, have a bit of flexibility around that as well. So, you know, if your budget is $800,000, maybe not go right in at 800, maybe give yourself a little bit of room as well. Communicate very clearly between yourself and the real estate agent, and who will obviously in turn communicate with the vendors as well. That's a good time to seek legal advice as well. So
I guess that's very important.
Yeah, a lot of people, and I think it's a great thing as well, where before they even sign the actual contract, they'll give it to a conveyancer or a solicitor just to read over the contract. You know, I've read lots and lots of contracts over the time, and I think after you get to about page 50, it's just a blur.
You've done well. 50.
Don't ask me to explain everything that's in there, but yeah, it's a great opportunity to get some legal advice around it. And, you know, nine and a half times out of 10, they'll probably just come out and say, it's a stock standard contract, everything looks fine, are you aware of this, are you aware of that? So, but I guess the final tip from me in this whole negotiation process is stay very calm. Avoid any impulse decisions, what we talked about earlier on. And these are all part of the negotiation tactics, so don't shy away from it. Some people can see it as a bit of fun as well, but yeah, just stay very calm and stay patient. So they're my key tips. So
great tips.
Yeah, so Eddie, I'll throw over to yourself now. What are some of the key things to be aware of? Okay, contract's been signed, we've got approval, we're heading to that momentous day of settlement day. What are some of the things that clients need to be aware of as they approach that particular day?
Well, obviously, you need to be ready for settlement day. That's all the hype and all the work that's been put over the last 3, 6, 9 months. You know, the day of truth has come, and here it is. So, obviously, working with a broker, you know, helps a lot in terms of they'll be taking care of all the back end stuff. So the most important things are getting your funds available and ready in the account that you've nominated on your loan documents, making sure you've transferred them at least a week ahead, because sometimes people leave it for like 2 days, 3 days before, and it's hard to transfer. If you're transferring $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, sometimes it's hard to have that those funds cleared straight away. So make sure at least a week ahead. Make sure your conveyancer is fully across the process and settlement has been booked, everything's ready, your insurance is there, everything's covered. Utilities, or you know, like if you want to connect those utilities on the day that you're moving in, make sure you arrange them and organise them ahead of time.
Getting the internet's normally a bit of a challenge. If you're dealing with some internet provider, they'll say, yeah, we'll get it connected for you, and our next available date is in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah, 100%.
If you leave it too late, you can find yourself in trouble.
So you just want to make sure everything's organised, even from in terms of moving, if you're moving or whatever. Have everything planned and organised for the day, and obviously communication is a key in all of this, just to make sure everyone is working together to ensure settlement happens in a timely manner, on time, no delays, because sometimes delays happen, and that could be an issue, you know, because if you've organised everything for the day and then
costly issue.
Then wait for the day after, it's just like rearranging everything can be a pain. So just making sure everything's ready, from insurance, funds, conveyancing, legal, you name it. Everything's in order, ready for settlement day, and then just waiting, and you'll get that call. You know,
that's
the best,
the magical call.
The magical call. Congratulations, you're now $600,000 in debt. You're a homeowner.
Exactly.
So I guess that's what we do every day, and that is the best part of the job. You know?
Yeah, there's nothing better than that phone call where you can say to a client, you try and beat the solicitor from the client, and you say, well, we've just heard that your loan's settled, so congratulations. And enjoy the moment. So
yes, I guess after settlement, obviously, you want to make sure your internet banking and accounts are in order, your offset account is linked properly, and you got the disbursement letter showing how the funds were dispersed, how much you paid for legal, how much you paid for stamp duties, how much you paid for this.
Yeah, the paperwork definitely doesn't end, before settlement. It continues on after that.
Yes.
You're going to be getting a disbursement letter from your solicitor in terms of all their fees and where all the money's gone. The banks will typically issue you one as well. So it's pretty important to really make sure you have a look at that letter and make sure that the funds are being dispersed
Haven't been
correctly.
ripped off somewhere.
Exactly right. So, fees that you weren't even aware of. So, and that's not only from a legal or bank point of view as well. So
Yes.
it's important. And we would, as a broker, we would typically help our clients go through the lender's disbursement letter to make sure it's all correct.
As brokers, we cover 90% of this whole process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we help with probably 90%, if not more, of the process, except for finding the property. That's the customer's job. So yeah, it's a good job we do.
Yeah, 100%. And another, I think the key takeaways for today is really about that financial preparation, getting that pre-approval in place, that clear communication with your broker, not just your broker, but really the group of professionals that you're dealing with. So if you've got a buyer's agent involved, you got obviously with the real estate agent will be involved as well, your solicitor or conveyancer. That's really the key to a successful house hunting process. Understanding how the offer process works, the negotiation process works. You get all these right and make dreams come true. So
That's it.
Yeah.
No, I guess that was a very good information. There were a lot of good information in here, and that's the point of what we're doing here. Just try and bring as much info and knowledge and make people aware of the process. Mm-hmm. If they're looking to buy or they've purchased and had a bad experience, what went wrong. So thanks Carlo, and we hope this guide was helpful. If you're ready to start your home loan or home purchase journey, we're available. You can reach out to us directly through our website or through the notes on this podcast. Otherwise, we'll leave you to it, and we'll see you again very soon.
Thanks everyone. Have a great day. Take care.
Bye-bye.